Hello everyone, welcome to this AMA crossover between Coindar and Gear. I'm here with Gear's Chief Ecosystem Officer, Pavel Salas. Could you please introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Pavel Salas, as I said, Chief Ecosystem Officer. I'm working in Gear. Gear is a company, I better say an ecosystem entirely, that's working on the Gear protocol. It's a protocol that allows you to deploy substrate-based blockchains, either as a solo chain, as a standalone network, or it could be done as a possible deployment as a parachain to Kusama or to Polkadot. So what actually we're doing now is we're talking about, and we'll be talking about, a solo net and standalone network that will be deployed, the first deployment of the Gear protocol that will be called Vara.
Awesome, very exciting. So today we have some great questions from the community of Coindar, and we're going to go ahead and jump right into it.
Sure, let's do it.
So for the first question, they'd like to know, for a startup project, developers play a very important role. To become a next generation cross-chain solution, you need faster, more accurate solutions, as well as a secure network. Can you give us a brief overview of how Vara Network overcomes these challenges and achieves all of these functions?
It's really an interesting question. Just because if we're talking about a cross-chain solution, we need to have something that's called bridges. Now, the biggest problem of the bridges, if you will see the biggest exploits, actually were in bridges precisely. So it's complicated. Vara is actually working a lot on that idea because, first of all, obviously, if we will be talking about the Polkadot ecosystem and entering maybe like a slot on the parachain using the XML messages or just bringing a bridge in a separate way, it's the ways how we're exploring different options, but still we don't have a final solution, to be honest. So the main idea is that Vara would be actually more unique, all the features, the unique features that it will have, it will be actually suitable, especially for gamify, that you don't really need the cross-chain interaction. Meanwhile, we are actually figuring the best way how to interact with different networks, because you don't want to have an exploit in your bridge and then actually have problems with all your network because somebody else could have a problem. So this is a tricky question. We're working a lot on that. We're trying to build also some new ideas and new features as a synchronous blockchain, so we have some scalability in this way. So if you need to have a solution that actually is not cross-chain, just solo chain for your integrations, that would be also one of the best things that you can implement.
Fantastic. I think also a great question that might help answer the first question is number 2, where they asked, what is the uniqueness of Vara Network not found in other projects? And what stage of development is Vara Network at?
Okay, I think that, to be honest, we have several features that we collected. Some of them are by separate, they're not really unique or new into the blockchain space. They're really few usable, just because I think, and maybe I'm wrong, it's just my opinion, that nobody found that secret sauce of the mixture that we have. So we can be talking about the actor model that is also used, for example, by Definity, but we implemented it a little bit in a different way. We can talk about WASM that actually is widely used for all the blockchains and the new generation of blockchains.
Right.
We can talk about the persistent memory that allows us to manage better the storage of the memory and the pages that are actually upload there. So I think that the combination of all these 3 pillars that we are having is actually what is giving us something really interesting and unique. For example, features like delayed messages in the protocol, so that you can actually, from the beginning, build something like, for example, DEX, we can say 2.0, where you can have the functionality of a SEX or centralized exchange, like an order book, delayed orders, into your DEX. And all that managed on chain. Not like some other DEX order books that you have an off-chain solution that just like an oracle later on pings the network and make the movement there. So the orchestration of all the movement inside the chain is actually done from the chain and not from outside, which gives you better, let's say, better transparency and in terms of interaction. Because if we're talking that a blockchain is a solution so that you don't need to trust third parties, so the more you can do on chain, the more transparent and trustful it becomes.
Wow, fantastic. Sounds like there's a lot of really exciting features that are part of the Vara Network. And for the second part of the question, what stage of development is Vara Network at the moment?
Okay, we are now practically prepared for we're preparing for the launch of several stages of testnets that we're having. So we just launched one of the testnets that will be based on proof of authority. Later on, we will be launching maybe another one once we calibrate all the needed information. So it's there, like, and this is the process. Maybe we will also launch an incentivized testnet. We're thinking about that, but more not focused on validators, but more maybe on developers. So people can try and upload our different examples that we're having. We have more than 23 examples in our wiki, where you can just go and see DEXs. You can see how to upload a DEX. You can see how to do it down in less than 6 minutes actually to upload the backend and the front end. We have several gamified projects. We're actually trying to build some broad examples ecosystem so that the person can build their own application like Lego blocks one on top of the other.
Fascinating. Sounds like we're really focused on the core of development right now.
Yeah, we're trying to do that. The whole idea of the community that's behind the Vara network is actually to try to make Vara the most functionable possible.
Awesome. Let's go ahead right into question number 3. It says any blockchain startup needs a strong sense of community. How do you intend to involve the community in Vara Network? Oh, and also they ask, do you have any plans to start an ambassador program?
It's a really good and interesting question. When we're talking about the community, I think that in this world, if we're talking about blockchain or Web3 world, actually the biggest paradigm and the switch is between the whole, let's say, proof that your project is valid, that it should exist, it should evolve, is actually the community that you're having.
Right.
Because they are moving you forward. So it's not like, I'm the company, I designed that, use it. This is the product. And you cannot do anything, just use it as it is. No, here it's a twist off way, like a switch totally 180 degrees, where actually the community is saying, okay, we are ready to use your product, but we would like to see it like that. So we think that it's really important, the community building. It's a complicated thing, but it's important. So we're doing different things. First of all, obviously, we're trying to get the community engaged. We're publishing a lot of information. You can read in our Medium different articles about technology, about ideas. We try to do some quizzes to the community. We try to write some technical ideas. We actually did these examples for them. We also will be launching a Gear Academy so that any person that would like to know how to write smart contracts will be able to pass step-by-step education and build their own application. We'll also be write hackathons where these people after that could mix in team and already build the app that they would like to do. And then obviously we're launching a grant program that will be announcing soon that will be able to close the loop. Additional to that, as you said, we launched, I think, 2 weeks ago, an ambassador program. We are thinking that, from our perspective, less is better. Like, we would like to have more professional people that would like to know about the project, that would like to help us to build a project, rather than a huge amount of people that will just post a news about or repost some tweet that we're doing. Because it doesn't make sense to have thousands or 100,000 of followers in your Twitter if they're actually not, this is not the people that really likes your project, that would like to learn more about the project, that would like to help you to build that project. So we're having now around 6 ambassadors, that are practitioner ambassadors, it's the first step that we're having, that are joining us. We'll be having different educational sessions with them during this month, so they can start helping us in what they decided to put their time and effort on. There are people that would like to help us to do some workshops and meetups. We're doing a lot of workshops all over the world with different universities. We work with a lot of students because we think that the student is a person that has two capabilities. First of all, his time is not yet fully consumed by something, rather like the education that he has. And second, he doesn't have so much obligations, so the free time that he has, he can spend it with doing something new with whom he would be passionate about. And in Web3, once more, it's a switch in a different way. First, you do something, and then mainly you start receiving the money back.
Right.
It's not like in the in Web 2, you just go to a job and say, okay, this is my salary, and you just go and start getting the salary, and that's all. But in Web 3, you first start building something, you start approaching, you start learning something, and then actually you start getting rewards. Because if you're a developer and you start getting some comments or helping the project as an ambassador, for example, not just developer, you have social media guys, you have people that can translate articles, that can help with that information, build an educational video about what blockchain is or what Vara is or how it works. Yeah, all the content that's generated is really important to share, and it's better when the community is doing that, because sometimes when you're more involved with protocol, you can get lost of some of the things just because you think it's so logical, so easy, just because you're that involved. So when people are coming, checking, learning, and they're doing it from another perspective, it gives a broader understanding of the audience. So I think the ambassador is one of the biggest assets that, not assets, but it's one of the biggest contributions of the community that you can have.
That's awesome. It sounds like there's a lot for the community to look forward to between hackathons, workshops, the grants program, ambassador program. There's a lot going on this year.
Yeah, this is what we're trying to do, like just to open the doors so that everybody can enter, like, and find what's most suitable for them.
So moving on to question 4, this person wanted to ask, what is the origin behind the name of our project? What is the reason behind the name Vara Network? And perhaps we can also answer, what is the reason behind the name Gear?
Yeah, I think it's reasonable. We can go one step at a time. Okay. I'm talking about Gear in the beginning. Gear was a name which our CEO and founder Nikolai came. He decided when he was building the whole idea of the blockchain solution, he was thinking to build something that was easy, reliable, and that would work forever. Like a small piece of gear, like a Swiss watch, like that. That would be the idea. So when we're starting working with that, promoting it, trying to build, you have to understand that it's really complicated to build a lot of engagement and ideas around a name that is really popular. So if you search in Google for gear, mostly you will find a lot of other stuff.
Right.
So we decided to find a name that could be quite unique, but at the same time could take some of the features that we would like to have. So we were checking a lot of different options and came to one solution that was the idea of the fjords in Norway. So they're really beautiful, they're unique, they're strong, and they're actually really, really reliable for navigation. So we decided to take that word, and one of the first was Vara. So we decided to take that name as a network. We understand that there will be not much competition about that. So this is the idea, and this is how we came with the name Vara Network.
Wow, fascinating.
Thanks.
So moving on to question 5. They ask, what are the implications of using WebAssembly as the execution environment for Gear smart contracts? And also, what are the ways for Gear protocol to contribute to the transition of the broader range of developers to Web3?
Good question. First of all, the WebAssembly is one of them. Like, it's a virtual machine which allows to execute the bytecode that's there, but this as itself, it just gives you, like, practically all the modern blockchains are using WASM just because of the speed. But what it helps is that there's a lot of languages that are compiled into WASM. So one of the best languages to write smart contracts would be Rust. And in order to bring Web 2 developers into the Web3 space, what we did is put a lot of libraries on top of our protocol, so that you don't need to handle domain-specific features like memory storage and things like that, where actually the persistent memory comes in. So you just need to handle actually several parameters like the message that you send and the reply that you get from the comments. And this takes the programming into the blockchain practically to the same level as you would be writing any program in the Web 2 world. This is something that we are focusing on, plus the option of compiling a lot of other languages into actually the blockchain and writing smart contracts. For example, now we are experimenting a little bit with TypeScript so that people can write the smart contracts on that language and compile it to WASM. Mostly sure during the horizon of 3 to 6 months we'll have even more languages compilable, because the development community is really looking into that and trying to build that compilator so people can play, build smart contracts, build the apps in different ways.
Wow. And how about for bringing in web developers from Web 2 and the rest?
Yeah, exactly. This is the idea. You're opening this path, so you're making it easy for them in the way that they don't need to really learn a lot of code or domain-specific features, like especially work with memory. If you take blockchains like Near or Solana, for example, there's a lot of stuff that's actually related to the blockchain that you have to check. And here we're taking that away, so you don't need to invest your time in that. You just still need to understand the logic and the idea of the program that you would like to build, but it's make it 10 times faster.
Exciting. So for question number 6, is your project available to individuals all over the world, or will it be restricted to regions? And will it be available, of course?
Yeah, if sorry guys, if we're talking that Vara and Git itself, Git protocol is a decentralized project, meaning that we cannot say, okay, this decentralization goes just to this region. It doesn't work like that. So it's open to everybody. It's permissionless. Any person can take the code. Actually, you can do 2 things. First of all, as a decentralized project, you can take all that project and say, it's mine, put different name, and try to deploy. Nobody can say anything to you. But you will not get the latest features, updates, and all the community around that. Once more, the community helps. The community builds. So if we're talking about that, anybody can deploy any smart contract, can take our examples, put it into the blockchain, change front end, change some parameters there, and launch the application. There is we cannot control anything there.
Right.
It's the community and it's for the people and done by the people.
Awesome. Number 7, can you briefly describe your partnerships and integrations so far and potential upcoming ones?
Partnerships and integrations. We actually published each month a Medium article which states what we did during the last month. And there's quite a big section about integrations. So when we're talking about integrations now, we're trying to get partners that can help us build the main infrastructure when we're launching the Vara Network. That means oracles, DEXs, we're talking about infrastructural products, IPFS, storage, a lot of stuff that is needed for the developers to start building the applications on the day one. This is where we're going there. Regarding names, we can talk about NFTs, Remark, for example. We can talk about wallets, a Soup wallet, Talisman, Nova wallet. We can talk about, storage like Crust. You want automation parts on blockchain, that would be Automata. You name it. We're having an integration with all the parachains, or we're working on that integration with all the parachains in the .SAM ecosystem, just because we're thinking, as they're also built on Substrate, that this XML messaging could be one of the solutions that we can use answering the first question that I had about the cross-chain interoperability, that will not be using Bridge rather than the XML messages. It's like huge, let's say, future idea that we are working on, but it's not there. It's still testing.
Right. Well, some of those names you mentioned are very exciting projects. I'm sure some people will be very excited to hear about it. So, question number 8. is there a type of support program for beginner developers? And I think you mentioned this a bit.
Yes, we have, and that's called actually the Gear Academy. It's practically launched. It's in process, to be honest. We already did different iterations. So we did one with the University of Istanbul. We did another one with some guys in Latin America, the University of UNAM in Mexico. We get the feedback and we rebuild it. And this will be the first iteration that we are now testing internally. Then we will be testing with some of our ambassadors in the community and some universities. And then we'll open it live so that any person can just go and learn how to write the applications based on our examples, based on the technology that we're having, and obviously based on it will be like a one-place journey based on all the knowledge that we had in order to teach our guys from the ecosystem team to build the applications. So we put all the knowledge that we had there for the community, so they can take it, get ownership of that, and actually really build what they would like to do, without looking to a lot of information, videos, and things like that.
That's great to hear. I know that there's certainly a lack of beginner-friendly information when it comes to getting involved with different projects.
Yeah, that's true. And we're also looking for is that these guys that will be passing this academy, that will be living this journey of learning step by step, can later on come back and help us to build even a bigger project. They can put and make their own additional videos, explanations, small other things that could help another person to do it faster and smoother. So once more, community building for community.
It's a great idea. Number 9, are there already working solutions based on our technology?
Really good question. We can take it through three different roads. So one of them is, if we talk about the Gear protocol, Vara will be the first implementation, a standalone network that will be living, alive, and developing as feels most suitable. Then we have another point that would be our smart contract examples that could be easily deployed by people on top of the network and actually work with that. We have 3 or 4 projects that actually deployed on us if we do hackathons, so it's there. We also have the integrations we were talking before, so they're actually deploying also on our network. So I think that summing that, yeah, there will be around X amount of projects that are already working with testnet, that are doing their job, that are fine-tuning some stuff because we are fine-tuning the network, they're fine-tuning the products. And I think that once there will be the launch or deployment of the full main network of Vara, then we can see all that projects live and doing everything.
Amazing. Sounds like although it's still in testnet, a lot of development progress has already been made.
Yeah, that's true. This is the point. That's why you need the testnet, so that people can test what they want to do. Because it's really strange that you can launch something without a testnet, so people will have to make mistakes in their real life. And if we're talking about a network that's a main net that's launched live, that means that each time that you make an error, you have to pay for that.
Right. Well, that takes us to our last question, and this question is: can you explain the concept of message passing communication in the actor model and its benefits over shared memory concurrency?
Oh,
bit of a technical one.
Yeah, and mainly it's asked at the beginning, not like at the end, and that's okay. Just because we already went a little bit about that, it's easier, to be honest, to explain it if we have a presentation or something like that, because it's graphical. But let's say the actor model is asynchronous by design, and then we have the shared memory communication that is synchronous. Which is the difference? The difference is that, let's take one step back. If we're talking about what synchronous and asynchronous is, if we talk about the real life solution, for example, as we want to upload a video on YouTube, a synchronous way of doing that would be, first of all, you put the name of the video, then description, then upload the video, and then you can do anything else till the video is uploaded. Then you will have a new URL, then you can send it to somebody, or you can start changing something of the parameters of the description. If we're talking about an asynchronous way, how actually all Web3 and UI used to work, is like you put a name, you put a description, then you start uploading the video. You don't have to wait till it's uploaded. It's like do it in the back. You just can have the URL, send it to your friend. You can already change some other parameters, meaning that the difference between synchronous and asynchronous is that in the asynchronous programming, you can just, if the process doesn't require the answer for the next one, you can run at the same time. Okay, this is one of the things that we need to understand. Second thing is that everything in the blockchain of shared memory, you have to execute in one block, which actually gives you really small amount of freedom to do something big. That's why it's called smart contracts. It's quite binary, the information that you can do. If we're talking about asynchronous way, how we use the message communication, an actor model, where actually every program is an actor, meaning it doesn't matter if it's a user, if it's bridge, if it's a smart contractor, if it's you name it, whatever you want. And everything is communicated through messages, like small transactions. And that means a user can send a message to the program, a program can send a message to another program, nothing new, everything like always. But then comes an interesting thing. A program can send a message back to the user. And depending on the result that it receives from the user, it actually can change. Meaning it doesn't matter who you are equal for the blockchain. You have the same ideas and parameters. That means an actor can create another actor and all that stuff. That gives you a lot of freedom because practically you can build more sophisticated programs, real programs that will be running on the blockchain and not just small smart contracts. And we're coming back to the idea of delayed orders, order books. You can actually run decentralized internet, a web server on top of the blockchain. You can write different type of games that could be running not on the backend outside, but really running on the blockchain. All this stuff gives to the developer the freedom of building something big, interesting, and amazing. So if I'm coming back to the actor model, I think this would be one of the biggest things. First of all, the option of sending this information, meaning another small example. If you have a smart contract A that needs to send the information to smart contract B, and then he needs some input from the user C to execute the information and give the result, what will happen if all this three comes and are closed in the same block, then actually the smart contract will work. If they will not do that, they will just get rewarded, we will have problem. So if you have something to get delayed, you need to have a backend that will be screening the network and then pushing that information to the contract. If we're talking about the actor model, it goes in a different way. A plus B, down the result, put it in the blockchain, the state is changed. Then it's just persistent till all the time, till the information C comes, it goes there, computation, next block, open there. So it's smoother, it gives you once more the freedom of execution, that you are not really tied to something, and it gives you the beauty of having everything on chain.
Wow. Sounds like this technology has a lot of potential for developers, just in all kinds of functionality, but also for scalability and performance.
Yeah, that's true, because you can scale once more. 3 pillars back, actor model, WebAssembly, persistent memory. It also allows you to scale now on the validator side, because the validators are scaling by cores. Now actually the hardware is scaling by that. So you add the core, get more computation, and we are able for this technology actually to scale the same way. So the more cores the validator is having, the more parallel computation we can do.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Well guys, that concludes all 10 questions for our AMA today. Could you tell our audience where to find us and where they should go next?
Sure. I think one of the best ways to find us is actually going into the web page. That would be varanetwork.io, and then you can find the section of contacts. You can find our Twitter, you can find our Discord, is actually one of the main sources of information. Twitter is all the news that we're having, everything that's happening, events, meetups, community, quizzes, you name it. We have a lot of stuff going on around the world, especially now with ambassador sponsorship, we have even more. If you would like to help us to organize a meetup or a workshop, just send us a message, become an ambassador, or communicate in some way with us and we'll help you. Second thing, obviously Discord, all our developers are there, and there's a separate chat where you can see actually what they're working on, how they're communicating about that, what problems they're solving. It's there. If you want to be more technical, we have our GitHub where actually you can see every commit that's happening. And if you want to learn more about the technical stuff, the examples that we're having, it's our wiki, you will see on the same page. And it will have all the examples and all the information that you need. If you need something else, please also share that with us so the community can help you and prepare that.
Wonderful. Well, we hope to see you there on our Twitter, Discord, and check out the website. Thank you so much for this AMA today.
Thank you. That was great.